Hi, my name is Dr. Rick Upchurch. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Adult Studies. Now, you know, as I've come to you before, that we've talked a lot about the Provost Unit mission statement. And basically that focus on student-focused learning, student-focused integrity, and student-focused support that builds a picture of what we do. Well, I've outlined it on this brain map a little differently this time. You can see here it talks about a passion for student learning. And in many of the workshops that I've been with you and talked, this is where I've spent a lot of my time, that passion for student learning. And we've also talked about developing a culture among faculty, staff, and students. And this time, however, I want to focus more on this last piece, this piece that talks about student success. And so while it's brain mapped here in this way, I'm going to look at it a little differently. I'm going to walk you through 7 outcomes that we want our students to graduate having achieved, and the connection of how we can make that happen together. Now, as I look at that, I want to start with an email I received from a student, actually passed through one of my deans at one of our branch campuses. I believe it was the campus in Houston, and I want to share with you this letter that came to me. During the application process, I was aware of Belhaven University's Christian heritage. I was not aware, however, of how deeply rooted the Christian worldview is in the curriculum. My initial reaction was surprise. I had not anticipated such a strong Christian influence on the coursework. I had never heard of the Bible being listed as assigned reading, and frankly, I was uncertain whether or not the religious influence would detract from the quality of the education. My mind was changed over the course of the first week of the class. I've been impressed by the content in the assigned reading and class discussions thus far, and have particularly enjoyed readings from the Longview. My confidence has risen, and I am now comfortable with writing the following. I anticipate this MBA program to benefit me in ways that programs offered at secular schools cannot. My original goal of acquiring an MBA simply to facilitate promotion in my workplace has expanded. I now anticipate the program to enhance my personal and spiritual life. The program has already caused me to realize a simple truth. Life is not meant to be compartmentalized. Earning an MBA from Belhaven can do more than simply nest into a neat academic box. The lessons and skills learned can and should be transferred across the dimensions of one's life, intellectual, social, spiritual, etc. The first week's discussions and assigned readings has caused me to consider the bigger picture and ask questions such as, regarding my life, what is the long view? With such enlightenment occurring after only the first week, I can only imagine the full impact that will occur over the next 2.5 years. In short, I anticipate this program to advance my career as a dietitian and give me a better understanding of life. You see, this short statement by the student really does talk about what we hope will happen as she goes through, or he goes through his career. This expression of understanding the Christian worldview and being able to build upon a solid education. But what does that look like in the way of outcomes? And where does the rubber actually meet the road on this? And that's what I want to talk to you about, because really, you are that connecting point. You are that point where all the history and heritage of Belhaven University and the curriculum comes to the point and focuses upon the student and the outcomes that come from that experience. And so I want to look at these 7 outcomes that look at what we want as a university and what we believe that we can work together to achieve in the lives of these students. The first one here, apply learning experiences to professional and other situations. That seems rather simple, doesn't it? To be able to take what they apply and bring it into their life experiences, both at work and at home. To be able to make them capable of seeing that what they have learned in theory has a practical application. You know, it's one thing to read about the theory, it's another thing to totally to take it and apply it. And that's what adults need. And that's part of what the instructional process is about. And that's one of the reasons we feel so strongly about what you're doing in the classroom, is to be able to take that learning that is occurring and put it into a format and help them actually through small group exercises and all the learning activities that you design to be able to apply what they've learned, to be able to take it out of their classrooms and into their lives. The second one, be able to articulate a Christian worldview and its implication for their home, work, and society. That kind of goes back to the letter that we looked at just a moment ago. To be able to articulate a Christian worldview and its application. This also comes back to you as the faculty. As you're able to share stories and talk about the Christian worldview, as you're able to help them understand the passages of Scripture and to look at things through a different lens so that they can take that new understanding of a way of looking at the world that before they may have never had any awareness of, to be able then to engage their world through the lens of Christ is going to literally transform them, as we saw it was doing with this student after only 1 week of class, so that they will be able to be different people in the workplace. Number 3, demonstrate habits of clear, constructive, critical thought. I like this one because it is in essence what we're supposed to be doing in higher education anyway, and that is to teach people to think. I know we're teaching them the material, we're giving them the content, but honestly, as you probably know, and many of you yourselves, you may or may not actually even be working in the area where you achieved your degree. Perhaps you are. But a lot of times people take their degree and move into areas completely unexpected. God's path sometimes takes us, as you know, in different places. Their ability to be able to think critically is crucial in that respect. To be able to take all they've learned, but then to be able to look at a situation and be able to critically ask the right questions so that they can make the best decisions. And that's what you're helping them do by asking them questions, by challenging them to think critically, by challenging them to step up their game as they write their papers, as they make their presentations in class, and as they engage with each other, so that they are thinking critically about a subject and showing evidence of a higher level of thinking. Number 4, to demonstrate a command of standard oral and written English. Now, this is a powerful point. We have them make presentations in all of their classes, or most of their classes. The students will be making a presentation. They need to be able to make a clear presentation without stumbling over the language, to be able to articulate their sentences, to be able to enunciate correctly, to be able to make a presentation that is more than just content, but is able to communicate. And the same is true with their papers. If you are not holding them to a high standard of writing, then they are going to come out of college not being able to achieve that one goal that most college students say that they believe a college education will give them, that ability to write a decent, clear paragraph, to be able to write a clear statement, to be able to speak with some confidence in a clear command of language. And that falls back on you in this classroom. We need you to challenge them. We need you to encourage them. We need you to confront them when you see it's not happening, to hold them to a higher level so that they can achieve this outcome. And then number 5 here, evidence a lifestyle of moral and spiritual integrity. This is about ethics. This is about patterning, about modeling, about living before them in a way that demonstrates this, about sharing stories that accentuate moral and spiritual integrity, about bringing case studies into the classroom that demonstrate the difference between a true integrity and a false integrity, to help them understand what that looks like, and then to give them the knowledge so that they can go out on their own lives and evidence that kind of integrity, to be able to stand up and say yes and no because this is the right thing to do. Number 6, compete in the job market for positions in keeping with their major course of study. Now, of course we want them to graduate. We want you to get them through graduation, help them get through graduation, give them the grades they earn, and actually get them through graduation. But when they come out of college, we need them to be able to go into the job market and apply for positions in keeping with their major course of study and be competitive in that. And that comes back to all of us. That's not just you here. This is all of us. This is the curriculum. This is the whole focus of the institution. But it also is the faculty addressing the concerns so that all of these other outcomes come together at this point. Because all of them do come together at this point, and that is, can they be competitive in the job market? Do they know enough? Do they have enough background? Are they articulate enough? Are they capable of performing the right levels of critical thinking? Do they have the content necessary in this specific area so that they can be competitive? All of these things come together at this point. Are they competitive in the job market? We want that to happen. We need you to help us and help them, because none of them graduated hoping that they could rack up all of this debt so they could go out and not get a job. They expected to be able to get a job because of what they're investing, and we need you to help us in that respect. Keep that in mind as you're teaching, that what we are doing is more than just filling in a nested academic box. We are attempting to give them the tools they need to succeed in life. This is on us together, and we need you to help us with this. And then number 7, incorporate ongoing learning strategies towards fulfillment of their life goals. You know this as well as I do. Our society has changed. Culture has changed. We are in a mode of constant learning. No one will graduate from any of our programs and walk into a position where they can simply put their mind on hold and vegetate for the next 40, 50 years. That's not going to happen. They're going to have to constantly be learning new softwares, new systems, new processes. They're going to have to be engaged in learning. They're going to have to be able to embrace the fact that when they graduate from college, their learning has not concluded. It will merely continue throughout the rest of their life. And they need to be thinking about strategies for that. How will they embrace that? Will they set up a reading plan for their life? Will they set up an engagement with some kind of ongoing training in their work scenarios? What will be the pattern for them to do that? And to challenge them to think about learning past college is something that we want our students to be able to have under their belt as they graduate. Well, that takes us to these 7 things. As we have worked together over the years, you know that I've constantly come to you and let you know that our students, when they graduate, they will remember the faculty more than literally any of the rest of us. They won't remember me. They may remember the dean if they've had him in class or her in class as an instructor. They might remember some of the student services people, particularly if they've been particularly helpful at a specific crisis point in their lives. But more often than not, what they're going to remember, who they're going to remember, are those faculty who have challenged them to be more. That's what we're hoping you will join us in, to challenge the students to be more, to achieve these learning outcomes that you see on the screen, to be able to come to realize the dream they had when they started. Actually, none of this could be possible without you. The whole higher education scenario fails without you making and connecting the dots. It really comes down to your engagement with the students, your involvement with them as people, not just as people who are sitting in the seats, but but literally as individuals. Your connection with them and your willingness to engage them, to push them, to challenge them, to take the information and challenge yourself enough so that when you present the information, you are actually bringing it to a place where they are connecting the dots, where education is transpiring, where there is growth occurring. And so that's what we're hoping you will do. We really need you to do that. None of this would be possible without you.